My husband's family gave me a chore list when I was visiting for a funeral. You're still young. You can handle it, my mother-in-law said. I spent hours cooking while they watched TV. When I asked my husband why he didn't help, he said, "You're better at it." That night, I packed in silence. I attended the burial alone. And the next morning, while they ate the food I cooked, I drove home and blocked every number they had, except one. I wanted them to see me move on. It started with a phone call late one Wednesday night. Jake's uncle, Charles, had died. Massive heart attack in his sleep. He was 61. Not young, but not old either. Jake got the call from his mom while we were sitting on the couch watching Netflix. He didn't cry, just nodded and said, "Yeah, okay. We'll be there." Then he turned to me. "We need to go to Knoxville." I said of course. That was where his parents lived, where most of his family still lived. I had a good relationship with Uncle Charles. He always remembered my name at parties. He was the only one who ever asked how work was going or noticed when I changed my hair. So I took 2 days off work, packed a bag, booked the dog at the kennel. Jake didn't help. He just tossed some clothes in a backpack and called it done. We arrived Thursday night. It was already dark, cold. January wind that bites through your coat. I was tired from the 3-hour drive. The second we walked through the door, I knew something was off. The TV was blaring. I could hear someone laughing from the living room. The smell of meatloaf and cheap candles hit me at once. It didn't feel like a house in mourning. Jake's mom, Patricia, hugged him tight. She glanced at me and gave me one of those "hi, sweetie" side hugs. Then she handed me a sheet of paper. It had bullet points. Chores. Guest prep. Cooking. Grocery run. Laundry. Deep clean the downstairs bathroom. Make the casserole for Friday. And the dessert trays. I looked at her. She smiled. "You're still young," she said. "You can handle it." I stood there stunned. I thought maybe she was just overwhelmed. Maybe this was her way of coping. I nodded and took the paper. That was my first mistake. That night, I was in the kitchen for over 3 hours. Everyone else was in the living room, Jake included, watching reruns of Family Feud, passing around beers, and scrolling on their phones. No one came in to help. Not once. I peeled 5 pounds of potatoes, boiled 3 dozen eggs, cooked a ham, rolled out pie crusts. I was sweating, my back aching, while they shouted answers at Steve Harvey. Jake came in once. He leaned against the doorframe, sipping a soda, and watched me stir the green bean casserole. "You're really good at this," he said. I stopped stirring. "You could help, you know." He shrugged. "You're better at it." He left before I could say anything else. I went to bed that night sore, furious, and already regretting the trip. The next morning was no better. His sisters were in the dining room chatting about their outfits for the burial. His dad was out front with a neighbor. Patricia was asleep until noon. I was the only one up early, running the dishwasher, scrubbing pans, and putting out food for the guests they expected later. At one point, I sat down with a cup of coffee. Patricia walked in, took one look at me, and said, "We still need someone to do the guest bathroom." I stood up and did it. No one said thank you. The burial was at 2 p.m. Jake left early with his parents, said I should just follow behind in our car since there wasn't enough room. I drove alone. At the funeral, no one noticed I was off to the side. I held it together for Charles. He deserved that. But inside, I was crumbling. Not because he died, but because I finally saw it. I wasn't family to them. I was help. Afterward, they had what they called a celebration of life at the house. Everyone came back, laughing, eating the food I had cooked. I sat in a corner of the kitchen, drinking tap water, just watching them. I packed that night in total silence. My suitcase made soft zipping sounds while the TV buzzed in the next room. I left early the next morning. No goodbyes. I drove straight back to Nashville, hands shaking the whole way. When I got home, I blocked every number in Jake's family. His mom, his dad, both sisters, and Jake. Except Dana. Dana was the only one who had said thank you after the funeral. She looked me in the eye and said, That was really kind of you. I could tell she meant it. I left her unblocked. She never pried, never asked questions. She just messaged a week later and said, I get it. I never went back. 3 months later, I had a new apartment on the other side of the city. I filed for divorce and never looked back. I started posting pictures online. Me smiling at brunch. Me at the gym. Me laughing with coworkers. All public. All tagged with just one name, Dana. I wanted them to see me live. And I knew they did. Because Patricia couldn't help herself. Dana told me they still checked my page. Still asked questions. Still watched. One night Dana messaged me, "They don't understand how you could just vanish." I replied, "That's because they never saw me in the first place." About 2 weeks after I posted a picture of myself on a beach in Florida, when I visited solo over a long weekend, Jake showed up at my new apartment.
I don't know how he found me.
I hadn't given him the address. Maybe Dana slipped, or maybe he followed someone else's car from my old job. Either way, I was shocked when I opened the door and saw him there. He looked rough. His eyes were sunken, and he hadn't shaved. "I just want to talk," he said. I stood in the doorway and didn't let him in. "You had 3 months to talk," I said. "Now I want you gone." He sighed, looked down at his shoes. "Mom's sick." I raised an eyebrow. "And she keeps asking about you," he said. "She thinks you're punishing the whole family. Says you're being cruel." I laughed. Out loud. Right in his face. "She handed me a chore list for a funeral. Your uncle died, and I got treated like a maid. And now I'm the cruel one?" He didn't answer. Just looked tired. "You made your choice," I said. "You chose them. You chose silence. You chose convenience. Now you live with it." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded letter. "This is from Dana. She wanted me to give it to you. She said you wouldn't answer her calls anymore." I took it, only because it was from Dana. When I closed the door, I expected that to be the end of it. But that was just the beginning. Inside the envelope wasn't a letter. It was a photo. A picture of me in the kitchen of Jake's parents' house. Mid-stir. My hair tied back. Arms covered in flour. It was clearly taken without my knowledge. On the back, Dana had written, "They've been making fun of this photo in the group chat for weeks. Thought you should know." I sat down on the floor. They'd taken a photo of me while I cooked for their dead relative. And they were mocking me for it. That was the moment something in me snapped. I wasn't just going to move on anymore. I was going to make sure they saw what losing me really looked like. I posted the photo on my page. Public. Captioned it, "This is what being the daughter-in-law looked like." They took this picture while laughing in the other room, while I cooked their funeral food. Alone. I didn't use names. I didn't need to. The post exploded. People started commenting, coworkers, old friends, even strangers. This made me cry. "You're better off without them. I've lived this too. Thank you for sharing." I saw Dana had liked it, but she didn't comment. 2 days later, I got an email from Patricia. She had never emailed me before. It was short. Just 4 lines. "You've embarrassed this family enough. You should be ashamed of yourself. You weren't raised right. Jake made a mistake marrying you. Don't contact us again." I laughed again.
For real this time?
She thought I was ashamed?
No.
I had never felt lighter. I forwarded the email to Dana with one line. "Thanks for the photo." I thought that would be the end of it. After the email, after the post, after the photo. I figured they'd just stew in their bitterness and keep me blocked. I was okay with that. I didn't need them. I had peace. But then, 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. I usually ignore those, but something in my gut told me to answer. It was Dana. She sounded shaken. "They're trying to take legal action," she said. "What?" I asked, standing up from the couch. "Legal action for what?" "For defamation. The Facebook post. They think you're trying to destroy their reputation." I actually laughed. "There are no names in the post." "I know," she said, "but everyone here knows who you're talking about. People at church are talking. Some of Dad's business clients saw it. Mom's embarrassed.
Good, I said.
Dana went quiet for a second. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. They're saying you weren't helping out of kindness. That you offered to cook. That you made the photo up. They're lying. I know, she said quickly. I know the truth. I just wanted you to know what they're saying behind closed doors. They're painting you like some manipulative drama queen who's trying to ruin the family. I clench my jaw. Let them. I've got receipts. Every message. Every voicemail. Every passive-aggressive text from your mom. I'll post more if I have to. Just be careful, Dana said. Jake's getting angry now. I don't think he's done. That night, I got another knock at the door. It was late. Close to 10 p.m. I didn't answer it, just peeked through the peephole. It was Jake again. This time, he looked different. Agitated. He knocked again. Louder. I just want to talk, he shouted. I stayed silent. He tried the doorknob. That's when I called the police. They came within 10 minutes. Jake was still outside, pacing in front of the building. They spoke to him, then to me. I explained everything. The harassment. The photo. The threats. The stalking. The officer nodded. You've got a case if you want to press charges. I didn't decide right away. I wanted to think. The next day, I filed a restraining order. That same afternoon, I got an email from a burner account. No name, no signature. Just a screenshot. It was from the family group chat. A message from Patricia that read, "She always wanted attention. Let's see how much she likes it when it's a courtroom instead of a camera." And underneath, a message from Jake. "We should have left her in that kitchen where she belonged." That was it. I wasn't just going to defend myself anymore. I was going to destroy the image they'd built. The nice, upstanding Southern family who could do no wrong. I started putting together everything I had. Photos, messages, notes I'd made after conversations, the original chore list Patricia gave me, and every voicemail Jake ever left me. I wasn't done yet. I didn't post anything for 2 weeks. No stories. No pictures. Nothing. But I was working behind the scenes. I talked to a lawyer, a friend of a friend. She looked over everything I had. The chore list, the texts, the email from Patricia, even the creepy group chat screenshots. I played her a few of the voicemails Jake had left, where he called me selfish and a spiteful little girl. She shook her head and said, "If they want to go to court, they're going to regret it."
So, we didn't wait for them to sue me.
I beat them to it. I filed a harassment suit against Jake. And I sent Patricia and the rest of them cease and desist letters through my lawyer, naming them for online defamation and targeted emotional distress. 2 days after they got the letters, Dana called. "They're freaking out," she whispered. "Dad's saying you're trying to ruin his business. Mom's crying nonstop. Jake left the house again. I think he's drinking again."
I didn't feel sorry.
I didn't feel anything. It wasn't revenge I was after, not exactly. It was truth. And finally, the truth was louder than them. The court hearing was set 2 months later. Jake showed up in a cheap suit, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Patricia and her husband sat behind him, lips tight, hands folded. Dana didn't show. She said she couldn't take it. My lawyer was brutal. Calm, but brutal. She read their group chat messages in court. She showed the photo. She played a voicemail where Jake shouted, "You're nothing without us." And then she handed the judge the list, the actual printed paper Patricia had given me that first night, still stained with grease in one corner, with bullet points like, "Make sure the floors are mopped before people come. Don't forget to polish the silverware. Dessert trays need to look nice, don't get lazy." The judge looked at it for a long time, then at me. "Did you write this list?" "No," I said. Her mother did, right before I cooked them a full meal while they drank beer and watched game shows. I won the case. Jake was ordered to stay 500 feet away from me. The judge even granted me a protective order that included his family's address. Patricia tried to argue, but the judge just said, "Ma'am, you mocked this woman while she served you at a funeral." Outside the courthouse, Jake followed me to the parking lot. "You think you won?" he hissed. "You just blew up your whole life." I didn't flinch. I looked him dead in the eye.
No.
I just started living it. Then I turned around and walked away. I haven't heard from any of them since. But I know they see me. Dana still follows me. She still likes my posts. I think maybe she's the only one who ever really understood. I got a new job 6 weeks later. A big promotion. I moved to a better apartment, with windows that get sunlight all day. I got a cat. I laugh louder now. I cook for myself, and it feels good again. Sometimes people message me and say, "Your story helped me leave someone like that." And that's what makes it worth it. I wasn't raised to be cruel, but I was raised to be strong. And now I know the difference. You don't have to scream to get revenge. Sometimes, silence is the loudest thing in the room.